Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our What to Expect webinar. My name is Ibi Layi-Ojo, the Director of Examinations at CFP Board, and I am delighted to be your host for today's session. Also presenting today is Nepomuceno, the Senior Manager of Examinations, Jenna Wyly, the Examination Specialist, and Grace Murtha, the Marketing Specialist. Eric will also answer questions posted in the Q&A box. Whether you are considering taking the CFP exam or you've already embarked on your journey towards certification, you are in the right place. During this presentation, we will cover what awaits you on exam day. We'll talk through your exam day experience before, during, and after testing. Before we dive into the details, let's take a look at what's on the agenda for today's webinar. First, we'll provide you with an overview of the CFP exam. Next, we'll delve into the details of your exam appointment, so you know exactly what you'll be facing on exam day. Following that, we'll share some valuable tips and strategies to help you prepare effectively for the CFP exam. We understand that preparing for such a rigorous examination can be challenging, and we're here to provide you with the tools you need to succeed. Then we'll provide you with information on additional resources, including study materials, practice exams, and support networks that can be immensely valuable during your CFP exam journey. Finally, we'll address frequently asked questions about the CFP exam. We encourage you to participate in the Q&A session, where you can ask any questions you may have, and we will do our best to provide you with clear and insightful answers. Now, let's get started. The CFP exam is available in an 8-day window. The July 2025 exam will be administered between July 10 through July 17, 2025. The CFP exam is available in test centers nationwide and remotely. For further information on remote proctoring, check the remote proctoring page on the CFP website. You still have time to register before the early deadline for an exam registration price of $825. Don't forget to have your coursework verified by the education verification deadline on June 18th. To take the July CFP exam, you will need to verify that you have completed your coursework requirements. You can register for the CFP exam before fulfilling the certification coursework requirements. However, CFP Board must receive verification of your coursework completion by the education verification deadline on June 18. If verification is not received by the deadline, your exam registration will be withdrawn, and a $500 postponement fee will be applied. The CFP Certification Examination assesses your ability to integrate and apply a broad base of financial planning knowledge in the context of real-life financial planning situations. The exam content requires the use of critical thinking and problem solving, with less emphasis on factual recall or recognition. Exam questions are written by volunteer subject matter experts based on the outcome of a practice analysis of personal financial planning. The analysis defines the principal knowledge domains that serve as a blueprint for developing the content of the exam. Each of the 170 exam questions that you will answer are linked to at least one of the principal knowledge topics. The approximate percentage of content coverage on the exam is indicated following the general headings shown on the slide. The CFP exam is a computer-based exam consisting of 170 multiple choice questions administered during the course of 2 3-hour sessions. Your appointment duration is 7 hours with 6 hours of testing time. You will be able to move through the exam at your own pace within each 3-hour test section. 3 hours are provided for the first 85 questions, and another 3 hours are provided for the last 85 questions. Each section is subdivided into 2 subsections. Candidates may take an optional unscheduled break after question 43 of the first subsection. You will also be able to take a 40-minute break in between sections, as well as any unscheduled breaks as needed. You will answer 4 different types of questions during the exam: standalone questions, short scenarios, case studies, and document questions. Standalone questions are typically 2 to 3 sentences long, with 4 answer options to select from. Scenario-based questions are associated with multiple exam questions, typically 3 questions per scenario. You will see the scenario on the left side of the screen with 1 question at a time shown on the right side of the screen. Study questions are like scenario-based questions, but longer, with the case study scenario covering several pages and typically 8 to 12 questions per case study. Document questions are based on a financial planning document. Candidates are required to analyze and use the information to answer typically 3 questions. Now, Eric will cover exam day tips. Over to you, Eric.
Thank you, Ibi. Several days before your exam appointment, please review the directions to your test center and practice the route you'll take to the location before your scheduled appointment. On the day of the exam, please be sure to arrive 30 minutes before your scheduled appointment. This will provide ample time for the check-in procedures. Also, be sure to review and become familiar with the Prometric emergency and rescheduling policies. You can find this information on the inside cover of the exam candidate handbook. This is also available on the website. Please make sure you know what to expect if your appointment is canceled due to inclement weather or by Prometric. If something unexpected happens before, during, or after your exam that impacts your ability to test, please call CFP Board immediately. Please do not begin your exam. Instead, contact CFP Board and remain at the test center. If you have a remote appointment and experience technical difficulties for an extended period of time, please contact CFP Board. Additionally, please do not schedule any trips or vacations immediately after your scheduled appointment. If there is anything that causes your appointment to be canceled, you'll need to be available during a very limited window for rescheduling after the canceled appointment. So now let's talk about what to bring to the exam. First, you'll need to bring a government-issued ID and 1 or more financial calculators. Your ID must be one of the approved types of identification, which includes the driver's license, a valid government-issued ID card, a valid passport, or a U.S. military ID card. The photo ID must also contain your signature. Please be sure that the ID that you bring is valid and not expired during the exam day. We encourage you to review your ID ahead of time. Be sure the name on your ID card directly matches the name you used to register for your exam. Your first and last name should match what is listed on your CFP Board account. Remember to check your ID prior to exam day. If there's any inconsistency with your name on your identification and the name you registered for with the CFP exam, please contact CFP Board before your exam so we can make sure that they are aligned. On exam day, you can bring one or more battery-powered, non-programmable, dedicated financial function calculators. While testing is in session, you're prohibited from accessing any electronic devices other than the acceptable calculator. You'll be able to store other electronic devices in your locker, but will not be able to access them while testing is in session. Any food, drinks other than water, or review notes that you bring to the test center will not be allowed in the exam room. You may store them in your locker, and you can only access them during your scheduled 40-minute break. If your calculators that contain visible formulas, they must be covered. So you will not be allowed to bring a calculator into the testing room if these formulas are visible on the backside of your calculator. You can cover up the formulas with either black electrical tape, or you can tape a blank sheet of paper over the formulas, like it's illustrated here in the picture. A link to the calculator policy is also listed in the reference section at the end of this webinar. Now, Jenna will review the check-in process.
Thank you, Eric. During the check-in process, the test center administrators will review your ID, visually check glasses if you wear them, ask you to sign in, assign you a locker, capture your photo, do a brief body scan, review your calculator, and show you to your seat. For the body scan, you will be asked to show arms and ankles, as well as empty your pockets from the agreed safe distance area. You will have access to your locker during your scheduled break. You will not have access to your locker while you are testing. Prometric will provide you with a scratch paper booklet and pencils. The test center administrator will review your calculator and ask you to clear any stored memory. Please review the CFP Board calculator policy for a list of approved calculators. Also, be sure to review the functions for clearing your calculator memory and become proficient in restoring your preferred calculator settings. For example, know how to set begin and end functions for time value of money calculations. No other materials are allowed at your workstation during the exam. The tax tables and formulas will be made available to you as an on-screen resource while taking the exam. Printed copies will not be allowed in the testing room. Other prohibited items include food, notes of any kind, electronic devices except for the approved calculator, and personal headphones. Prometric permits water in a clear bottle with a lid or cap in the testing room. After you check in, the test center administrator will show you to your assigned workstation. Noise-canceling headphones will be available upon request from the test center administrator. Any notes that you take will be collected and are not permitted to leave the exam room. Security of the exam is vital and protected by active proctoring and monitoring of video camera surveillance. The digital video recordings are retained until after exam results are official. Before the exam, you will be asked to accept the CFP Certification Exam Pledge Agreement, making a commitment to behave ethically before, during, and after the exam. Please familiarize yourself with the agreement provided to exam candidates before the start of the exam session. Failure to accept the agreement will disqualify you from taking the exam, forfeiting the exam fee. During the exam, candidates are permitted to take unscheduled breaks to use the restroom or get a drink of water. Please be aware that during unscheduled breaks, no additional time is provided. You may not access your locker, phone, or study materials. You will also be subject to another check-in process upon your return. To request a break, raise your hand so the test center administrator comes to your workstation to properly check you out of the exam. Halfway through your appointment, there is a scheduled 40-minute break. The exam will begin automatically after the 40-minute break time expires. Please be sure to return to your seat before time expires. The system will give you 2 pop-ups to ensure you are ready to end your break. If you skip your break, stop testing and contact CFP Board immediately. If you are testing remotely and would like to take any break, including your scheduled 40-minute break, you must alert your remote proctor in the chat box. Do not leave the room until your proctor confirms you may take a break. If you leave the room without alerting your proctor, your exam may be terminated. At the end of each section, you will encounter the End of Section screen. The end of each section provides an opportunity for you to take an unscheduled break between sections. Remember, the timer will not stop during unscheduled breaks. If you do not need a break, you can click the Next button to continue to the next section. You will encounter 2 confirmation messages when you end each section. If you have not answered all of the questions in the section, the message will inform you of this. Once you finish this section, you will not be able to return to this part of the exam to review questions. Be sure to review questions marked for review before proceeding to the next section. If additional time remains after all exam questions have been answered, you may review your work from section 2B only. You may submit your exam for scoring before your final 3 hours have expired. Before submitting, you will be asked, "Are you sure you want to submit your exam for scoring?" Once you click yes, your exam session is ended and you cannot return to view your exam. You will answer a short survey, and then your preliminary results will be displayed. You will also receive an email from Prometric with a copy of your preliminary exam results. When you are done, you will exit the testing room and report to the test center administrator. At that point, you can retrieve your personal belongings from your locker and return your locker key. A timer is available in the top center of your exam screen. The timer shows both the remaining time in the section and the total time remaining on the exam. Note how you can toggle between the options by clicking the timer. Having the correct amount of time showing on your screen will allow you to properly pace yourself and ensure you answer all the questions in the specific section you are in. If you select the option for total time remaining, please note that this includes the 3 minutes allocated for the survey at the end. Section 2 will end when there are 3 minutes remaining. The CFP Certification Exam is a pass or fail exam. Each test question counts for 1 point. Passing is based on the candidate's total score across all sections of the exam. Preliminary results are provided to you immediately after taking the exam. Official results are provided to candidates by email approximately 4 weeks following the close of the testing window. Candidates who pass the exam will receive a congratulatory email with instructions for completing the certification process. If you do not pass, you'll receive a diagnostic report of your exam performance across the principal knowledge domains, with indications of your relative strengths and weaknesses so that you know where to focus your studies for the next time you take the exam. Red areas had weaker performance, while green areas had stronger performance. CFP Board does not disclose official exam results over the phone, by text, or by fax. You can become familiar with the exam software features by taking CFP Board's free sample exam. available at cfp.net/sample exam. The sample exam includes a tutorial of how to use the testing software, as well as 10 sample questions. You may take the sample exam as many times as you like. Now, Grace will cover preparing for the exam.
Thank you, Jenna. CFP Board has two 170-question practice exams that you can use to help you prepare for the CFP exam. The practice exams mirror the format and content coverage of the CFP exam, providing a replica of what you will see on exam day. This is a mock exam that will boost your confidence on exam day. Be sure to set aside 7 hours to complete the practice exam. This includes your 40-minute scheduled break. Upon completion, you'll receive a diagnostic result report showing your performance in each principal knowledge domain, which you can use to address knowledge gaps as you continue studying. The first practice exam is complimentary with your exam registration and can be accessed in your online account. CFP Board has also put together a couple of additional resources to help as you prepare for the exam that are available for download on our website. The Candidate Handbook is a quick reference tool for exam-related questions in one convenient location. It addresses topics covered in this webinar and provides additional information on registration, scheduling, exam preparation, and what to expect on exam day. The How to Build a CFP Exam Study Strategy Guide helps candidates gain an understanding of the steps to effectively study in preparation for the CFP exam. The page also contains the guidance and regulatory change documents, including Secure 2.0 Act provisions. We also have our online candidate forum where you can connect with other candidates and obtain useful tips and guidance in preparation for the exam. We encourage you to join online conversations or read through posts and testimonies on how others prepared for the exam. You may even find groups of people to virtually study with. All you need is your CFP Board account to access this online forum. Log in at candidateforum.cfp.net. If you are retaking the CFP exam, congratulations on keeping up your momentum towards this exciting milestone. We encourage you to use CFP Board's exam prep resources to help you reach your potential. CFP Board staff, mentors, and other candidates are here to support you on your journey to CFP certification. Your peers are also available to support you. The Candidate Forum has a lot of great discussions and stories from others on the path to taking the exam and discussing how they stayed motivated for another attempt and what they changed in their study plan. I encourage you to take a real look at what you are doing to study and align that with what you know about going into exam day. You may need to change some things up. Please feel free to review these documents mentioned throughout the webinar. These are important resources for exam candidates. The webinar will be available on our website within a week, so you can also access these references at that point. Now we will pause for a few minutes to review and answer any pending questions that were submitted during the webinar. One question we have here is, are we allowed to review the practice exam on questions we got wrong after the test?
Thanks, Grace. So the way the practice exam is structured, it's a mock exam, so it's timed. So you're not able to review the practice exam questions after you submit for the results. So what is available on screen is a button that allows the practice exam candidates to look at the rationale for the correct and incorrect answers. But the way the practice test is structured is it's structured like a mock exam. So you need to treat it like you're taking it under time conditions.
Thanks so much, Eric. We have another question. Please clarify, is there a break between 1A through 1B if needed that will stop the clock? Also, is it possible to pass the exam if you do very well in all sections but happen to do poorly in one?
So there is an opportunity to take a break that's unscheduled between section 1A and 1B. But what it does is it does not stop the clock. So anytime you take an unscheduled break, other than the 40-minute break, the clock does not stop. So the 3 hours for that section continues to progress while you're taking an unscheduled break.
Thank
For the
you.
second part of this question, I think it's asking if it's also possible to pass the exam if you do very well in all sections, but happen to do poorly in one. So the way the exam is structured is it's a pass or fail determination based on your overall score. So it is possible for your scoring in different sections or different domains of the exam to compensate with a poor performance in another section because it's based on an overall score across all sections. So there's no requirement to pass specific sections. It's based, again, on your overall score.
Thanks, Eric. That's super helpful. Another question we have is, are you able to have unlimited scratch paper?
Yes. So for people testing in the test center, you can have unlimited scratch paper. I think the scratch paper booklet is about 5 to 6 pages, and they're stapled together. Once you're done with that scratch paper booklet and you need more, you can flag the test center administrator and request for a new scratch paper booklet. So they'll take that booklet away and give you another set of scratch paper to use, and you can keep requesting more as needed.
Awesome. Thank you. Can we go outside during the 40-minute break?
Yes, so exam candidates are allowed to go outside during the 40-minute break. We do suggest that you scope out the area, make sure you know what's available around there, if you might have some food needs. Because what happens is if you're late coming back from the 40-minute break, the next section will start on its own. So we would like to caution you. You can go outside. You're allowed to go and read your notes if you want to in your car. In fact, this is the only time you'll be able to do that. During unscheduled breaks, all this is forbidden except for going to the bathroom. So that's what you would be able to do during your 40-minute break.
Right. And I know that we get one practice exam when we register, but someone is asking if there are any more practice exams that they can purchase.
Yeah, so one practice exam is available with a registration, and there is a second form that's available that you can purchase for an additional fee. The cost is $249 for the second form.
Great. Thanks so much. One question says, I have heard mixed information regarding if the multiple choice answers will contain the 1, 2, 3, and 4 questions. I heard that the CFP exam stopped asking these type of questions. Will these type of questions be on the exam?
So this is a really good question. The questions containing the Roman numerals like this, it's often called the multiple select type of question, and CFP Board no longer asks these questions on the live exam. All these have been removed, and you're not going to encounter one during the July administration.
That's good to know. Thank you. We have another break question. So can you clarify if you can take a break in the middle of 1A, for example?
Yeah. So you can take a break in the middle of 1A, but that would be considered an unscheduled break, and that does not stop the clock. So the clock will continue to progress while you're taking the break. Please also be aware that it takes time to check out and check back in and go through all the security procedures. So while you're going through all of this during an unscheduled break, you will be losing time on the exam.
Absolutely. Another break question is, does the 40-minute break only happen exactly in the middle of the exam, or does it occur once sections 1A and 1B are completed?
Right. So the 40-minute break is between section 1A and 1B and 2A and 2B. So it comes after 1B. But if you finish 1A and 1B early, you can start the 40-minute break early. Conversely, you also have the opportunity to end the 40-minute break early and start section 2A. So it is in the middle of the exam between section 1B and 2A. You don't need to wait for the full 3 hours to transpire before you start the 40-minute break. And you also don't need to sit through the full 40-minute break if you want to press on and go to section 2A right away.
Got it. Thank you. Eric, could you please, we have a question of if you can bring more than one water bottle into the testing room as long as they are clear.
I believe you're allowed to just bring one water bottle in the testing room, but what we can do is we can flag this for you and follow up. I believe it's one right now, but we can check on this and verify. You can bring more than one and keep one in your locker if you're going to go through that first one, but I believe it's one for now within the testing room.
Thank you. That's a good question. Another question we have is there a number of correct answers out of the 170 total that will ensure that you pass?
Right. So this is going towards the passing standard, and this is something that's confidential, and CFP Board doesn't communicate what the passing standard out of the 170 questions. So the what you will need to do is score a sufficient number in order to pass, but that's not nothing that we communicate publicly. So we'll have to move on from these questions.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And this is a really good question for remote test takers. What is the scratch paper situation for remote testing? Do you need to just minimize between the questions?
So with remote testing, no scratch paper is permitted. In lieu of scratch paper, what is available is an on-screen note-taking scratch paper, kind of a scratch note tool that they have. It's very similar to Notepad if you're a Windows user. There's no drawing that you can do on the software. All that's available is your text-based keys and your numbers. So that is available as a pop-up. You'll click a button and it would launch the Scratchpad, is what they call it. And again, for remote test taking, you're not allowed to have scratch paper.
Thank you for clarifying. That's good to know. This is regarding the pre-approved calculators. Does this mean that some calculators that are not pre-approved may be acceptable if you ask? For example, bringing a more basic backup calc for simple calculations.
Right. So if you want your second calculator to be a basic calculator, that's fine. That a basic calculator is something that doesn't store a lot of information and it doesn't have advanced finance functions. Those are also considered pre-approved. So you could have either two calculators from the pre-approved list or one pre-approved and one basic function calculator. For more information on that we have a more detailed description of what's approved and not approved in our calculator policy that's available on the CFP Board website.
Thanks, Eric. We have one question of if you are late after the 40-minute break, can you still take the rest of the test, but just with less time?
Yes, that's correct. So if you're late for the 40-minute break, the exam counter will start and that section will start. You can still take the exam. You've just lost time on the second section, which is 3 hours.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions asked that actually don't count toward our score and are just for research purposes? If so, how many?
So what this question is asking is there are questions on the exam, and we call those pilot questions, where we are gathering statistics on their performance for future use on the CFP Board exam. The number of pilot questions that are on each form is confidential. We don't communicate that publicly.
Got it, thank you. Can you briefly explain how the remote testing option works? This person understands that it's a relatively new option for students who choose to not take the exam in person at the Prometric testing center.
Sure. So remote testing is available upon request. What I recommend you do is you connect with our team here at CFP Board, at examinations at CFP Board, or to give us a call. We can direct you to the requirements for the remote testing. What it involves is using a software tool to take the exam from home if you're able to meet the software requirements. So it's a lot more detailed and involved. So if you're interested in this option, please reach out to our staff so we can connect you with the proper resources and see if it's a good choice for you.
Thank you. So we have someone that was asked to verify their undergraduate degree by the CFP Board. Can you confirm whether or not they need to do this before the exam?
So this is more of a question that's out of scope for the CFP Board exam. The only requirement to take the exam that's a prerequisite is to complete your registered program requirement. And if you're not familiar with what that is, I highly recommend you go to the website to find out what's required to be able to sit for the exam. One issue that we actually have is sometimes people sign up for the exam thinking a prep course is all they need without realizing there is a registered program requirement. There is a separate education requirement that's separate from the prerequisite, which is called the bachelor's degree requirement. And this is a requirement that you need to fulfill before you become certified. So the answer to this question is no, you do not need to verify your undergraduate degree before taking the CFP board exam. What you do need to complete is a registered program requirement in order to sit for the exam.
Got it. Thank you so much for clarifying that. We have someone that's asking if they are currently signed up for a remote test option and want to switch to a location. Is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. The way to switch out of a remote test is to go to prometric.com and you would search for CFP Board as the test sponsor, and then you would select the reschedule link. And this will permit you to reschedule from a remote test to a live test that's at a test center.
Got it. Thank you. We have a few questions about purchasing the second exam. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The second exam is available for purchase as a bundle when you're registering for your exam. It's also available through the CFP Board website if you're interested in purchasing it and you're already registered. If you just navigate to the practice exam section of cfpboard.net, you'll be able to purchase it through your account.
Awesome. Thank you. We have a question about formula sheets. So, are there any formula sheets or tax information given prior to the exam? And which tax tables will be used for the July exam, 2024 or 2025?
Sure, great question. So the not the practice exam, the formula sheet and the tax tables that are used on the July 2025 exam are available on CFP Board's website. It's in our exam resources section. It does test the 2025 tax law. The last exam that tested the 2024 tax rates was the March 2025 exam. So from July 2025 until March 2026, we'll be testing 2025 tax law.
Got it. Thank you. We have one person asking how they can find a list of registered testing locations.
Sure. So the best way to find test centers in your area is to go to prometric.com. You'll be able to navigate their site to type in your zip code or your address to search for test centers that are in your area. Now, the only way you'll see that there's availability in your area is if you actually have an eligibility to take the exam from CFP Board. And the eligibility number is usually your CFP Board ID. That eligibility gets passed on once you pay to register for the exam. And then you should be able to see which test centers have availability in your area. If you're not registered and you just want to see where the test centers are, you can do that, but they won't show the availability for the CFP Board exam.
Got it. Thank you so much. One person is asking, as a follow-up to the formula sheets and tax tables, do they bring that themselves or will that already be provided at the testing site?
Right. So the testing site will already have it. It's not going to be a physical copy. Please don't request from the test center because they're not permitted to offer a physical copy, and you're not permitted to bring your own copy to the test center. The tax tables and the formula sheets are available through an on-screen resource. You would click a button that's located in the presentation of the question, and it will launch the tax tables and the formula sheet as a pop-up on screen.
Got it. Thank you. We have another question about the 40-minute break. So if they end the 40-minute break early, do they have more time for parts 2A and 2B?
No, not at all. So 1A and 1B, you get 3 hours. After the 40-minute break for 2A and 2B, you get 3 hours, but you can't save minutes and pass them on to the next section.
Got it. I think that's really helpful to know. We have another question about the pilot questions. We also have, okay, does the passing standard change depending on the group's performance or is it the same each year?
So the passing standard does not change according to the group's performance. So what happens is the passing standard is set after each practice analysis. So the last one that was done was in 2022. We set a passing standard, and this is the same standard that's applied across all exams that are administered until the next practice analysis that will be conducted.
Thank you. And we touched on this, but I think people are looking for some specifics. Could you please tell us the number of each types of questions? So number of case studies versus short scenario type questions.
Right. So I can tell you that you can encounter up to 2 large case studies on each exam. Most of the time, it's only one large case study with about 12 to 15 questions. There's no exact number of smaller set items that will be smaller questions that have 2 or 3 questions related to it or stimulus related to it. On each exam form, you'll at least encounter one document item. Um, but it varies from form to form. But at least you know that you're not going to encounter more than 2 large cases. You're only going to encounter one document item and several of the short scenarios.
Awesome. So once you submit 1A, you cannot go back to 1A. Correct, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh,
Once you hit the submit button, you can't go back to the previous section.
okay. Thank you so much. And then someone, just to reiterate, they're asking about the practice exams. They are online.
Yes, they are available online.
Yep. Someone is also asking if you need more scrap paper, how do you go about getting that?
Sure. So if you need more scratch paper, you would just need to flag a test center administrator. They should be walking in or monitoring the exam takers. So you just raise your hand, you can flag them down, and you can secure another booklet of scratch paper. You will have to surrender the old one because you're only allowed one at a time. But if you need more blank pages to write on and you've run out, you can just flag them down and they'll bring you more.
Thank you. One very logistic but important question is, does the center have a refrigerator for food?
I believe they do not. Most of the time people store what they need in their locker.
Someone is asking for clarification. Only one large case study.
It depends. It could be 1 to 2. It's
Got it.
usually one, but if you encounter 2, don't be surprised.
Someone to follow up, someone says, can you describe the document item a bit more?
Sure. A document item is it's similar to some of the short scenarios, but instead of a scenario that's a narrative, you can encounter a financial planning document. So for example, it might be a tax document that you fill out. And then that will be the stimulus that you'll use to answer the questions that are presented after the document is presented. So you would go back to the document and refer to that in order to answer the questions that are presented.
Got it. Thank you. So, is there an option to get a physical copy of the tax tables and provided formulas, which you already answered, there is not.
Yeah, that will be denied.
Okay. What
Yeah,
do I need
this,
to,
oh, I'm
sorry,
sorry,
continue,
Grace.
Eric.
I just want to say that that's very important. There's a lot of misinformation about that. Prep providers will tell you that they provide you with a physical copy. I've actually been in the office during exam week and gotten calls from test centers, and it's always going to be denied. It's present on the on screen, on your test driver. There's no need to bring a physical copy. Any request will always be denied.
Got it. And this is a question about calculators. So what if they show up to the testing site and they tell you you can't use your CFP approved calculator?
Yes, this is very important. If you have a pre-approved calculator that's on the list and they deny your ability to use that calculator, do not start the exam. What you'll need to do is please contact CFP Board. Do not start the exam, but stay at the test center because we'll work to resolve it. And if that's a case where they're not letting you use a pre-approved calculator, we'll need to work with our account team to make sure that center is aware, and they can get you started testing. But do not start the exam without your calculator because you'll need it for answering questions. So if it isn't on the approved list, and if you have any questions, you can just reach out to us, make sure it's approved. And if you're denied at that point, don't take the exam. Stay at the test center, contact CFP Board so we can work it through with the test center.
Thank you. We have a question about batteries. Can you bring spare batteries for the calculator into the test?
Yes, the answer is yes. So you can bring spare batteries for your calculator. This is a really good tip. What Prometric asks is to have the batteries loose, pull them out of the wrapper, and you could place them into a tissue paper, to keep them together and bring them in there. So what they'll do is they'll inspect it before you enter the testing room. So that's the one request is to pull it out of the wrapper, but you can certainly bring in extra batteries.
Thank you for clarifying. You mentioned that you can take an unscheduled break. Does that close out the previous section of the test, or can you go back to reviewing before submitting the morning session?
Right. So you can take an unscheduled break at any time. So if you're still in section 1A and you take an unscheduled break, you can return there. But once you've progressed past 1A, you can't go back. But yes, you're allowed to take an unscheduled break at any time.
We have some remote testing questions as well. Am I allowed to use a computer with detachable webcam, or does it have to be a laptop?
So if you're using a desktop that's not portable, that's not a laptop, you can use a detachable webcam. If you're on a laptop, you'll just be using your laptop webcam.
Got it. Additionally, are remote takers allowed to wear earplugs to block out any sounds?
No, you will not be allowed to because the remote proctors are not able to inspect those devices.
Got it. Thank you. We have a question about the specifics of the scratch paper. Is the scratch paper provided a small notepad paper or a regular full sheet?
It's not a full sheet. It's about a size of a notepad. It's a small booklet of about five to 6 pages.
Got it. Thank you. We have one question that says, I just got a new ear piercing. Will I have to remove it for the exam, or could I put a Band-Aid over it?
So jewelry is not permitted, but I believe what you need to do is I would contact the test center to see if there's any issue with your earrings. Um, but I believe that's handled on a case-by-case basis. The best thing to do is contact your test center with those concerns.
Thank you. Another remote testing question, is a standing desk okay to use while you take the exam?
No, a standing desk is not permitted. It's not part of the environment requirements. For more information on that, you could check the RP candidate website with Prometric or reach out to us here at CFP Board so we can give more guidance on what's available for remote testing.
Got it. Thank you so much. If you have any additional questions, please contact our examinations team at examinations@cfpboard.org.
On behalf of the staff here, Ibi, Grace, and Jenna, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this webinar. Please don't hesitate to contact our team if you have any further questions. This recording will be available after the conclusion of the webinar. It will be posted on the CFP Board webpage and available on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.